Welcome to the Brent and Malcolm Show. I'm Brent Hazard, joined via on the campaign trail, Malcolm Johnson. Malcolm, what's up?
Good evening, Brent. How are you doing?
Are you hitting the campaign trail hard?
Oh, man, my left foot is hurting. We have worked so hard. I tell you one thing, it's already long and it just got started.
What area are you in right now or plan on being this evening?
Well, I plan on being in the town of Utica tonight. They're having their town hall meeting, their first of the month meeting, and we will be going down tonight.
Well, if anybody's watching this in Utica, get out, say hello to Malcolm, say hello to everybody in Utica. Utica is a wonderful town, and we're always joined by the wonderful Dr. Wilford Beals.
You're so generous. Hello, everyone.
You got the greatest vocabulary for a man who says nothing all hour.
No.
Well, let's get into it. Local news, guys. President JSU was sudden in an emergency meeting. Any comments or any knowledge? I don't really know anything. Malcolm, you hear anything that you can publicly speak?
Well, the street talk is that the world famous Lisa Ross is after him, so you can imagine what that means.
Mr. Bills, do you have any knowledge or information?
I don't have any knowledge, but I give a prognosis. Is Deion Sanders' situation played a role in it because he complained about not getting his money and being told $28,000.
I disagree completely. I'll tell you why. Deion Sanders leaving and not getting his money is not an emergency session. When I hear, and this is a lawyer in me, when I hear emergency session, either money's missing or somebody has been sexually propositioned.
Well, Deion Sanders did say money was missing.
Now, I don't have any proof on that, but it's one of those things, emergency meetings mean he's radioactive and we got to get him out of here. Malcolm, what does it mean to you when they said that? And it wasn't Jackson State, it was IHL, correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir. Really what it means is there are some serious problems on campus. And a lot of times, Brent, like I know, when boys come together in the middle of the week, they usually got the evidence. So they don't call those kind of meetings on no hearsay, she say.
Well, let me ask you this, Malcolm. You being a big fan of JSU, I didn't know President Hudson, but he seemed like he seemed like he had some stuff going on. So he was bringing some modernization of JSU. What was your opinion of him, and who would you like to see replace him?
Well, Brent, to be honest with you, when I met him the first time, I knew him before he was the president. Also, I think he was a little too young for that job when he got it. I think that job, age is not the factor, but sometimes you need a more stable, mature person than the guy past the wildlife. You know what I mean?
Oh, I understand. You
done shot your oaks out. You know how your oaks on the tree is kind of tired. You know what I mean?
Now,
the day you went over to Jackson State, Brent, you almost lost your mind over there.
Well, once again, I don't know what Mr. Johnson's talking about. But no, the reality is this. You have this argument in every academic institution. Do you hire from within and they tell you do not hire one of your own because they say academically it's inbreeding. What you want to do is hire someone from outside to bring in new ideas, bring in new people. Doctor, since you are so educated, what is your position? Should Jackson State hire from within, or should they go outside and hire someone?
Okay, I recommend that they hire outside, and I'm like, I'm liking what Malcolm said when he said he's been knowing him for a long time. A lot of people know you for a long time, and then you have a tendency to fall into that fabric of cooperation, friendship, and may not be as progressive and as what we call consistent that you may need to be in that situation. So I go back to the farmers. The farmers rotate their crop every so many years, because if they use the same land all the time, that crop will get smaller and smaller and will not produce. So that's on the agriculture side, but that's a part of that.
You really talking to someone from the Delta about agriculture?
Oh, okay. You know.
Yes. Now, Malcolm, have you heard any names to the new president of Jackson State, or do you have any people that you'd like to see get it locally, or who?
Yes, sir.
What names are you hearing?
No, I haven't.
Let me throw out a name. He's lead counsel, legal counsel over there, Ed Watson. I prosecuted with Ed. Ed is the first-rate person. Obviously, he was a fantastic lawyer, fantastic prosecutor. I would like to see if they go in-house and they stay within, someone they know. Ed Watson, I think, would be a tremendous choice as your next president. But and he used to do a ton of employment work, so he knows about HR. And I think, having a lawyer there with the issues of a possible misappropriation of money under the last president and whatever happened to cause this emergency meeting under this president, I think having someone like Ed would be an excellent choice, and I think he'd be a calming factor. I'll give you the last comment, Mr. Johnson.
Well, Brett, I would just like a person that would make it 5 years. You cannot change presidents. You cannot change CEOs. You cannot change directors every year and a half. So I would just like to see someone, whether they're a male or female, black or white, I would just like to see some stability leading Jackson State University.
Okay, let me ask you this. Your top quality, this is my chancellor or story from Ole Miss. There was a gentleman named Kayak, and he was a tremendous law professor. And he was kind of being groomed to be the next dean of law school. And they had a vote, and there's some bylaws that said you had to get the majority vote of the law professors. He got 3 out of like 30. And it's because the other 23 were from Mississippi. He was from Gulfport. The other 27 wanted somebody with some academic credentials. So he didn't get it. He ended up resigning. But they appointed him like interim AD, and then they appointed him interim chancellor when we had some people leave. But here's what Kayak knew. Kayak, one, knew how to practice law, but Kayak knew where the donors were. So he was a great fundraiser, but he didn't have the academic qualities. Dr. Bill, would you rather bring in someone strong academic or someone who can raise some money as your president?
Okay, speaking from experience and being in senior management for a long time, you need somebody to raise money. And even as I was running transit agencies, I spent a lot of time in Washington dealing with the program.
Washington County?
D.C.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Raising programs, looking at new funding initiative, meeting with senators and Congress folks on transportation issues. So a CEO needs to be a fundraiser. He needs to stabilize the organization financially, and that gives him the cutting edge of doing new innovative things. Now, as it relates to academic, even though it's an academic process, you got people around you supposed to be rich in academics, and your leadership and understanding as you bring that wisdom of executive leadership to that process will enhance their performance level. But I will say this, because Malcolm said he'd like for them to stay longer, over 5 years. I will say this, and I'm going to get off of it. Generally, the cliche is for executives, CEOs, they have a life cycle of 3 to 5 years. 5 years if they're good with it. They tell them your agenda must be accomplished in the first 3 years because that's your honeymoon. After that, it's a give and go situation.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've wrapped up this topic. We're going to be right back to talk about the Rankin County shooting and whatever investigation we think should take place and what we're hearing right now. But thank you for watching the Brent and Malcolm Show. We'll be right back after this break.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
Welcome back. Before we get into our next topic, which is going to be the Rankin County shooting, Malcolm, tell people why they should elect you as Hinds County Supervisor for District 5.
They should elect me, Brett, because I have a plan. Brett, we have what you call the revived District 5 plan. And guess what, Brett?
What?
Everywhere I tell it, people are getting excited, saying, if you can do that, we'll support you 100%. The stakeholders is high. The people want change, and the polls is showing it.
So what is the plan?
Oh, so the plan is to revive District 5. Number one, the basic thing is about opening up the front door to District 5 again. If you go to District 5, Brent, you'll find out there's nobody in the office. No one there to answer the phone. No supervisor in the seat. We had a board meeting yesterday, supervisor not present. You cannot handle the county business if you're not in the meetings. Number two, Brent, we're going to revive District 5 by, guess what, Brent? Making sure that we have a grant writer in Hinds County that's writing officially grants. We're going to revive District 5, Brent, by making sure that the public works people, employees, public defender's office, dental repair, and also our maintenance guys are paid for a day's pay. We have so many more. We'll bring them back after the next break. But remember, we have a plan to revive District 5.
We are now going to get to Mr. Bill. Have you been keeping up with the shooting in Rankin County?
That I have not been keeping up with.
For those who do not know, and I think everybody knows, there were two individuals that were arrested by Rankin County. When they got arrested, one of them had a bullet wound on the side of the mouth. There were accusations that, and for those, when I'm prosecuting, when you tell me nothing, like the guy who just got tried up in South Carolina, he couldn't tell you where he was, or what, if you tell me some details, you're like, it's hard to lie about that. The gentleman who survived without being shot, he was telling people how the cops were pouring milk on them for trying to drown them or waterboard them with milk, and that's something I couldn't make up. That gave it some credibility. But then the FBI announced that they're investigating. The FBI never announces they're investigating. They like to lay in the background. They like to pull your phones. They like you to text people. So when the FBI said, we're here, there was some smoke to the story. Now, some unofficial sources have told me the gentleman who got shot, he had powder burns on his cheek. Like someone had either pointed a gun in his mouth or pointed a gun on his cheek. And there were accusations of the current sheriff of Rankin County trying to keep things quiet, at least to the deadline. So now I don't know if that's true or not. There were a lot of people upset that it wasn't publicized or investigated completely yet, but the FBI is here. Malcolm, do you have any thoughts? Have you heard any news about the Rankin County investigation?
Well, yes, this past Sunday I was with Attorney Trent Walker, who is one of the attorneys on the case. And we do know that one of his client has got out the hospital, but he's not doing good. He's not progressing like they thought he should have. And there's a GoFundMe page set up for me up with medical bills. He did not have insurance. And according to his attorney, Trent Walker, it's a lot badder than we know. He told us that the FBI had to come in. And he said some things gonna come out that's gonna be heartbreaking. And he's wanting the video to be released so the people can see how this guy was done. But
now we're talking about Michael Corey Jenkins. We hope Mr. Jenkins makes a full recovery. And let me go ahead and say this: I've been friends with Trent Walker for years, but when you're talking about professional, he's one of the more serious hitters in town. He really is a great attorney. So if there's something out there, Mr. Walker will be finding that out. Everybody's innocent till proven guilty. Mr. Jenkins and also the Rankin County Police. Everybody gets due process. But when you hear the FBI announce they're here, something's going on. And like I said, my whole thing is, it sounds like the powder burn. If I'm shooting you from here, there's no powder burn on your cheek, and that had to be pretty obvious for the FBI to announce something like we're here that quick. Mm-hmm. The problem is, and I tell this to people all the time, and no one wants to listen to me, It's your city court judges and your justice court judges. We've got to find some city court. There are some city court judges in Jackson that have gone too far left. Now I saw where there was $1 million bond set in Jackson the other day for, it seems like, an alleged serial rapist. I don't like $1 million bonds because I can't make a $500,000 bond. And there's something about that million, I think, impinges on your due process rights. I like to see the bond stay around 6 figures for your violent crimes. We don't need to be housing people. Look, Hinds County, right now, we need to start a program. Drug charges, prostitution, nonviolent crime. You're on pretrial, you're not in our court system. Go get some help, work with us, we'll work with you, but we don't have the resources to be announcing misdemeanor convictions.
Yeah.
We need to be focusing on people going home, and like I said, I think the city judges are doing a better job, but I'd like to see the bonds under $1 million, just because, like I said, a $750,000 bond, $600,000 bond, they're not making it. Or you have the right to say, I'm going to deny your bond because you're a danger to society. Now, on the other hand, I think Rankin County goes too far the other way, because as a prosecutor, if you come in and you don't do your job or you violate constitutional rights, I have to out so you'll learn. But if I'm rubber stamping everything you do at the city court level, then that carries over to the state court level, and we're never learning what civil rights is or is not. So it's one of those situations where if we could the problem is your city court judges are appointed by the mayor, and the mayor listens to the police chief. And everybody likes that. It's a $50,000, $40,000 a year job, state retirement, very political. I think the best thing we can do as a state is take that away and have some sort of public review board where you just want it fair. You don't want it ruled every time for the city. You don't want it ruled every time for the defendant. You just want a good balance. And I think that's a good way we could protect the citizens' civil rights, is really focus on the municipal county court job or justice court. Malcolm, what's your opinion of maybe regulating the justice court judges or city court judges more?
Well, I'm going to say this. The state constitution is already written. So when you go to say making changes to judges and positions in the state, it would take a supermajority or a big high percentage to change anything when it comes to justice court. Just like Mississippi is the only state to still have a chancery court. You do know that, don't you, Brent?
Yes.
So
now let me say this. Tennessee goes back and forth. Some states go back and forth on it, but yes, most of them have gone to a general jurisdictional courts. I agree with you on that.
So when you talk about changing the courts, you got to look at one thing. What do the legislative branch or the law says? And so we can argue about it blue in the face until we blue in the face, but until we really get the law changed. Like today, Brent, the 1020 passed in the state Senate. Had you heard about it?
Now, that's the new amended one?
Yeah, the new amended one passed today. I think it was 34 to 15. Now, that's stuff we can talk about that's passed. Now, stuff ain't passed in the legislature. They don't usually waste our breath on.
Okay, hang on a second. My understanding is the new amendment, and I've been buried in briefs. And folks, when you don't see me here, I have to call Malcolm at the last moment. So I want to be here every week, but sometimes, like, I got 4 briefs. I think I got 3 briefs due tomorrow. So it's one of those deals where, when it hits, it's a price I pay for the lifestyle I've chosen, just like by sitting by Dr. Bill's here. But the version I heard, and I'm going to defer to you two gentlemen, but Malcolm, you first. Hinds County's getting 2 appointed judges by the Chief Justice Randolph until 2026, and then they'll get one. Hinds County will create a 5th judicial district for a 5th permanent judge. They're not appointing any chancellors, and they're getting 2 DAs. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I heard that too. 2 or 3 state appointed attorneys that probably be housed in the state building. You know what I mean? Okay,
yeah. Now, I will say this, for anybody out there, I've heard, and back to Trent Walker. Trent Walker was appointed, I think, in 2004 by Chief Justice Smith to help clear the docket. please, for anybody listening, throw in a budget for a court reporter and staff, because right now they have a lot of COVID judges, but they don't have any extra staff. So I'm not working extra for you, for someone who's, not elected, not going to hire me. We've got to make sure they have staff appointed to them. Now, Mr. Bills, you've been keeping up with it more than I. What is your opinion of the new 1020 that passed, or passed the Senate?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to go back to this Chancery Court situation only in Mississippi. This is supposed to heal that ill. Am I correct? Will that heal that ill about the Chancery Court?
No, I disagree. I don't think that is. And then what we're talking, so we're on the same page. I would like, this is Brent Hazard, I'm about to alienate a couple of judges I know well. I hate Chancery Court because it's a court of equity. And I've had to argue some prominent legal cases. Now, we are very, in Hinds County and Rankin, because of the amount of attorneys and litigations, we have a very high level of legal, judicial ability in the area. The problem you get in Chancery Court, when you go argue somewhere, maybe another court, it's truly, are you from here? Because of equity. And then I've had Chancery Court judge saying, are you quoting the Mississippi Supreme Court opinions to me? And when a judge says that, or I've had Chancery Court say, you expect me to read all this? And you're like, what are we doing here? What I would like to see happen, because of the criminal docket, and I think this is what Tennessee's gone back and forth on, and also, in my opinion, what keeps all judges honest are public appointed or public defenders, the criminal docket, because those are going to be appealed. And you're not a true judge until you are appealed, because that's who reviews you. I would love to see the 8 courts in Hinds County, or when I'm talking about Chancery Court Circuit, go all general, so everybody has the criminal docket. And also, I think it would make it better judges all around. What are you talking about when you're talking about Chancery Court? This is supposed to, you think this amendment's getting rid of Chancery Court or not?
I think it's going to heal the ill of the, what we call, full spectrum of the Chancery Court. That's what I think, because it's going to provide a different judicial approach.
Well, like I said, right now we have a, full disclosure, Dwayne Thomas is a friend of mine. I had lunch with him today. He's a new senior judge. He's an excellent judge. Before him was Denise Owens, super judge. Pat Wise. Now, Pat Wise was not, Judge Wise still scares me, but she was not easy, but she was demanding. Before her, I think, I got this in order. Judge Singletary, very good judge. These people are handling constitutional challenges, so they're a little bit higher. Right now, we have Judge Tiffany Grove, Judge Hodges, who just got on the bench, who was a great ADA, Judge Thomas, and Judge Martin. Judge Martin was a judge who just ruled upon whether private school tuition could get tax credits or not about 6 months ago. You're not talking about normal cases. So Hinds County cases here, those constitutional challenges. So we have a little bit more advantage in our Chancery Court than maybe someone in Gulfport. Mm-hmm. You try to argue something more in divorces or things in those court systems. But do you think, Mr. Bill, this is a good step for Jackson? Do you think this is a step back? Do you think this is the white people trying to take over? How do you interpret this?
I interpret it as the influence of power, keeping the power. That's how it's being controlled, because the influences are wanting to change. They're not seeing the utilities of being a part of the system.
Now, what is your opinion right now? Did you see what, and transitioning a little bit, and I'm coming back to you, Malcolm, the third-party water czar came out today, reported by the Clarion Ledger, saying any talks with the governor is a waste of time. Did you see that?
Yeah.
What's your opinion on that? Is your opinion like, duh, we just told you that before we got here?
Yeah, that's right, duh.
Duh.
Yeah. If the federal system have taken over the water, that's bypassing the governor right there.
But, I mean, I think what he probably, and this is even going to Jackson State. The issue I have, we are so backwards. Now, I'm not talking about Jackson. I'm talking about Mississippi. I'm talking about how we deal with each other. we are, in my mind, we're still maybe in 1980. And meaning we don't see the value in each other. We don't see the value. If I want Rankin County to succeed because I want Jackson to succeed. I want Jackson to succeed because I want Rankin County to succeed. I want the state to succeed so I can see Jackson succeed. I want Jackson to succeed because it's the capital. I want our state to succeed. I think that's probably what the water czar is amazed by, that the governor and a resident of Jackson is not being more active in the betterment of our capital. Malcolm, your opinion?
Well, I agree with you. When Jackson do well, Clinton do well. When Jackson do well, Brandon do well. When Jackson do well, Madison do well. But the real problem we're having is excuses from our elected officials. Our elected officials must come together, work harder, and get the things straightened out. The state shouldn't be having meetings about straightening up our situations, Brett. We should be at the table in the back room straightening our community.
Well, there's no doubt about that. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to take another break. We'll be right back after these words. It's the Brent and Malcolm Show.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
Looking for the hottest content in the city of Jackson and surrounding areas? Check out WeBelieveDigital.com. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We Believe Digital Podcast is here for all your podcasting needs.
SGECOVIDsolutions.com is paving the way forward for a safer city government, delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols developed internationally by top virologists and scientists using an all-natural cleaning solution, killing COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. For more information, please call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com. Let SGECOVIDsolutions.com provide innovative rapid facilities testing and world-class state-of-the-art biorisk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Malcolm Show. Malcolm, if you're elected to the Hinds County Supervisor District 5, what are the first 3 things you're going to implement?
First 3 things I'm going to implement. In my first meeting as a Hinds County Board of Supervisor, I want to implement that the board take on the challenge of cleaning up trash in Hinds County. We're going to work with our Justice Court judges, our Justice Court clerk, Ms. Patricia Woods, and the other board members, and come up with a plan that when the judge give them a fine and they can't afford to pay their DUI, they can exchange to community service and clean up Hinds County. That means on Saturdays from 8 to 12, they can do 4 hours a week. And if they got 100 hours of community service, they can get credit for 4 hours every Saturday to pick up trash, and that'll give us an opportunity to pick up trash in Hinds County, make the county look better, and then get the people that don't have the money a choice. Do you hear me, Brent?
I hear you. I'm also hearing Capitol Police sirens, but I hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And also, Brent, we're going to bring in what you call the intersection team. On Thursdays, there are 4 guys that pull up to all the intersections in the county, take the weed eater, cut the grass down, pick up the trash, and bring the intersections looking good for the weekend. So when you pull up to the intersection on Saturday morning, Brent, going to see Ole Miss play, or going to Mississippi State or USM or Jackson State or Alcorn, you can see what's going on at the stop sign. So many of our stop signs in Hinds County have nothing but bushes and high trees. So that'll be something we'll be bringing in the intersection team, not the whole public works. We just get a couple of guys to jump out with weed eaters, pick the trash up, and make the intersection look good. Third and last for the day on that, Brent, we will bring something called a lunch with the supervisor. And it'll be every quarter in my district, and it'll be the mayors, aldermen, and councilmen which I serve in District 5, we'll get together and we'll rotate. We'll go to Wendell Road, Gibb Steakhouse, go down to Bolton Steakhouse. We'll go to different steakhouses in Hines County, have a dinner, and let everybody bring their projects or what's going on in their community to the table, where we can try to get to the board to get the vote to get the projects done. And that's what I have for you tonight, Brent.
Thank you for that. But now, Mr. Bill, you asking me when I say about Jackson, well, what was your question at the break?
My question is, as you talk about how the makeup of Jackson and how we communicate and work with each other, is giving me more knowledge of the environment and the culture as it relates to economics, the legal aspect, and serving the people.
Well, I mean, what's sad is and this is what I try to tell people and warn people of Jackson. My hometown, Greenville, it still technically exists. But if you go to Greenville now, it's not the Greenville I grew up in. I mean, you got to give Jackson its credit. Jackson's always been the major city. But I would argue, and we've had some people come on here back in the 80s, maybe Meridian was the second best. I would argue Greenville was the second best city in Mississippi. We did not invest in the whole community, in the African American community. We did not try to get Delta State there. Now, that was in the 50s. We objected to Tyson Chicken coming. We objected to casinos coming. I think we should have merged Mississippi Valley, Delta State, and Mississippi Delta Junior College. I think we should have looked more as we, and we were looking too much at me, and then the farmers got subsidized, and we didn't see the value that the whole infrastructure was based on the farmers producing something, or the whole economy. And when you took that away, the farmers got their corporate welfare, let's say what
Right.
it is.
That's what it is.
But we didn't get it. And we didn't get that synergy going, and I see the same thing in Jackson. And what's tragic is, whether we're talking about, I mean, Malcolm was with me, and I remember coming to Jackson and seeing Provine's band. And how many people would you say, I want to get, I mean, you're from here, Malcolm. How many people would you say Provine's band averages back in the, let's say in the 2000s? Would you say 100?
Provine band will have anywhere from 75 to about 125. And I was at a parade. It was at the Martin Luther King parade, and they had 13 people in there.
And I mean, to me, that's kids that should be out there. You know, those kids are not in a band. They're getting in trouble. There's some kids out there who are very talented, who, you know, or that could be just the way they cope. And when we're not investing in things like that, it has an effect on the community. But it also has an effect, what we have to understand is we got to be protective of the community. What frustrates me is while we need better leadership, especially during this campaign season, we have to demand it. We have to hold people accountable. We've got to go out to the schools districts. If we don't do all that, then we're in trouble. And I don't see people paying. I had a talk with a young lawyer this week. You want to be a litigator, you don't want to work litigator hours. I mean, she was taking off on the weekend. She doesn't want to be up there at 10.
Yeah.
You know, look, I hit the wall. I filed a brief recently with 32 exhibits. I had to go through 5,000 documents, and it's getting heated, it's getting ugly. If I call you a liar, I got to make sure everything's perfect on my side. So I was going through, and that's the choice I've made. Now, if I want to go work at a bank, and there's nothing wrong with that, work at a bank. But if we're going to bring Jackson back, if we're going to bring Mississippi to middle, I don't even want to be at the top. Can I get in the 30s somewhere? We've got to demand more. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. I agree.
As a man coming from Detroit, what do you differ? What do you disagree with? What do you see from living in Michigan? Because let me go ahead and say this: when did you leave Detroit?
I left Detroit in 2017.
Okay, I went up there in 15 because we were suing the car manufacturers for price fixing for the state. And I was hearing bankrupt, and I was hearing all Detroit's horrible. And I got off the plane, Malcolm. I walked around Detroit. I went, damn, we need to bankrupt some cities in Mississippi. It was not now Quicken Loans had come in, and they had put a lot of money downtown. But on the sidewalks, they had big chessboards, and people were playing. I'm talking about chess pieces this big, and a couple of nice patio. Downtown was nice, and I was texting people like, Man, these idiots don't know what abandoned is. They need to come to Jackson. And, you know, or you know, when I was down in the Caribbean recently enjoying a little me time, and someone's like, are you afraid of getting off the beaten trail in Puerto Rico? And I was like, dude, I'm from Greenville, Mississippi. Ain't more of a off the beaten trail is there. There's so much room to grow here. What do you see, though, growing up in Detroit that I'm missing, or what perspective do you think I'm missing that you could educate me on?
Well, let me say this. I was working with Detroit Department of Transportation, and I did the facilitation for service cuts and budget cuts during the bankruptcy. We dealt with all the financial experts that the governor brought in to heal Detroit. Detroit has the same as Jackson has in the communities. However, but Detroit, because of General Motors and because of Dan Gilbert, Quick and Long,
yes,
okay, they made sure downtown Detroit was economically vibrant, and to the point whereas Dan Gilbert bought apartments, and those working for Quick and Long and those working downtown, they subsidized the youth rent. So they got campus marches down there where you can go ice skating down there. They have all the festivals down there, keeping the economics in downtown Detroit vibrant because it's access to international waters as it relates to going into Windsor and the bridge. They're redoing the bridge now because that was a major millionaire brawl, because the bridge is the largest international economic exchange in North America.
No, you're talking about the bridge, or you're talking about the bridge to Canada?
The bridge to Canada.
FYI, and Malcolm, you probably know this from going up in Milwaukee, you can cross the bridge without a passport. You got hell to pay to cross it back without one. And I crossed it with my driver's license as a casino. What city is that?
In Windsor.
In Windsor, yeah, Windsor.
Yeah.
And I'm walking over there playing, we're watching a band, and we came back over, and they're like, where's your passport? I said, they let me in. I said, they said, fool, that's Canada. We ain't Canada. Yeah. And I was like, son of a. Yeah. But yes, Malcolm, living in Milwaukee, what lessons did you learn from living in Milwaukee? What did you see living in Milwaukee that maybe we could implement in Mississippi or in Jackson?
Well, what I saw in Milwaukee that Jackson needs to do better, you see more of the different races coming together. You know, the south side of Milwaukee, a lot of the Latinos and Mexicans, the Hispanic, that was the south side. On the downtown side of Milwaukee was a lot of the Caucasians that was rich, well off, living condominiums on the lakefront. You got off of Titonia, Central Street, Burleigh, Center Street, and all those streets was what you call the inner city where crime was. But one thing about Milwaukee, you could go to the lakefront and you would see black, whites, Indians, Chinese, Mexicans, everybody walking together in unity. You would see everybody in the summertime at Lake Michigan swimming in the water. So even though we had a crime problem up there, we still had a better way of communicating and working together on the lake, on the side by the lake. Now something else, Brent, I also learned when September comes, you better get back down south, because it get down to 20 below zero in November. And February and March, it's still snowing in Milwaukee in March. You do know that, don't you?
Hey, cousin, I was up in Minnesota in Minneapolis in March 3rd. Richie and I flew up there for a case, and they had the biggest snowflakes I've ever seen in my life. And they looked at me like, this ain't that bad. And I was like, y'all know. And I mean, now, is Milwaukee like a gerbil too? Because if you've been to Minnesota, everything's connected like you're in a gerbil house. Is that the way Milwaukee is?
Yeah, Milwaukee's the same. Matter of fact, Milwaukee, Detroit is built on the older level. Milwaukee is built older than Detroit, but it's the same level. Everything is connected to some kind of point. And now one thing I like about Milwaukee that I don't feel in other cities. Everybody from Milwaukee is either from Greenville, Canton, Mississippi, or Jackson. Okay.
Okay, wait, stop.
Every family
is from Greenville,
all those
Mississippi.
People, they're gonna be from Greenville, Greenwood, Canton, Mississippi, or Jackson. You could go to any store and say hello. They say, you got to be from down south. I say, how you know? They say, hear your accent. And I said, where you from? Oh, I'm from Greenville. I'm from Rolling Fork. I'm from Greenwood. I'm from Canton. But everybody in Milwaukee came from Mississippi. Now, if you go to Detroit, most of the people in Detroit came from Alabama.
Mississippi too.
Am I right, Mr. Bill?
Yeah, Alabama, Mississippi, the whole South. Please keep in mind, Highway 61 that goes through Mississippi.
Why are you leaning into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I mean, nothing changed. He can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Highway 61 that goes through Mississippi. Highway 49 that comes through here are old highways, which was sanctioned in 1925, going to Chicago, going north, 29 going into Boston. Those highways were because of the Great Migration. If you go to Detroit, a lot of folks from Mississippi in Detroit. I went to the drugstore and the lady said, you worked in Detroit? I said, yeah. She said, I'm from Saginaw. I ran Saginaw Transit. I know her town real well. They call Detroit up south.
Okay.
Okay.
So y'all teaching me something today. That's why we do the show. Now wait, we're running out of time. We got 15 minutes. Let's talk about what we really need to talk about. Did y'all see Chris Rock's special?
I saw a trailer.
It's fun as hell, man.
I saw a trailer.
Okay, wait. First of all, we gotta get you to see it. I'm gonna give it a 7.5, Malcolm. That first, look, I understand the comedians and I saw Fluffy. What's his name? The Hispanic gentleman. Gabriel Iglesias, or if I'm saying that correct. He had a special I just saw, and then I saw Chris Rock. I'm sick of comedians talking about cancel culture. You know, I mean, I understand it, but it's the name of the game. If you're good at what you do, I'm also a little sick of the transvestite jokes. I just think it's low-hanging fruit. You know, I just want people to be happy and I'm going to leave you alone. Leave me alone. Now, if you have not seen the special, he called Jada Pinkett Smith the B word, and then just lit Will Smith up. Do you think he went too far in any of that, Malcolm?
Oh yeah. Oh man, he went too far, brother. You can't control your personal feelings, brother. You shouldn't be out in the public, you know?
Her husband slapped him, though.
And that wasn't too far.
So how would you have reacted? I know how you would have reacted, Malcolm. Yeah, I mean, you would have been arrested that night. But
I'd have still been in jail in California.
Look, the problem I would have, knowing me, I would have been like, was that planned? And then I started revving up, and I was like, well, I wish Mr. Bills would come over here and slap me, and by the time, if I'm not careful, Mr. Bills slapped me. And then next thing you know, hey man, bring that heat over here. And then, you know, next thing they gave him a standing ovation. But Mr. Bill, he said, besides the B words that were, some profanity, he literally said everybody in this room's been cheated on, but no one in this room has been cheated on and then interviewed on live TV by the woman who cheated on you. And to me, and he goes, for those who do not know, Jada Pinkett Smith slept with her son's best friend and then told her husband about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. You know, look, everybody thinks they want to live that swinger life, or they think they want to be in those wild parties. Till you go to, I've been in some places in New Orleans. I want to cut my skin off, run off, and bathe in alcohol. Right. You're like, I ain't this guy. I ain't about this life.
Right.
And I think that's what's happened with them. But I think their careers are over. Malcolm, is Will Smith's career over?
Yeah. He was in Mississippi a month ago at Tougaloo College speaking. When he got enough time to come to Tougaloo and do speeches for free, his career over.
Don't have nothing to do.
Well, all of a sudden he's doing Bad Boys 4. Yeah. Is it 4 they're doing now? So I just don't think. The only thing I thought about this, I don't know how you could do it. I would give you the opportunity to if I truly was sorry and I overreacted, I'd give you a free slap. That's how we were brought up. But here's what I would do. I'd sell it on pay-per-view. Mr. Bills, give me your opinion.
Oh, I wouldn't give him a free slap, but
if you slapped me and you felt sorry about it, you apologized, you wouldn't give me a free slap?
No, I wouldn't give you a free slap. No, because you may hit harder than me.
That's what you get. Malcolm, would you think Chris Rock should get a free slap?
Well,
That's a no.
Well, he got a free slap, Chris. When Chris Rock
hey, Brent,
talked
I got a
about
question, Brent.
Go ahead.
Brent,
Go ahead.
if you went to court and you were standing there with Mr. Bill, and the judge asked you, how's your client gonna plea, and you bent down and said, Bill, how are you gonna plea? And Bill slapped you in the courtroom, what would you do, man?
Oh, no, look, man, I'll tell you exactly what I do, because here's what people don't understand. You always have like a 5-second window with me. And I mean, like a couple of weeks ago, I was coming out of court, and this person, I'm cleaning it up because I'm trying to be adult. I can't stand, because he talks to me like I'm a child. And he goes, I mentioned a motion. I said, I told the court I need time to file a motion. And he said, and on the walking out, he said, what motion are you going to file? And I said, I'll send it to you. And he goes, well, why don't you tell me? And I said, honestly, every time I talk to you, you insult me, and I'm tired of being insulted. Have a good day. F you jackass. And I'm hand to God, I took 2 steps. And then I was like, did that son of a gun just call me a jackass? F you jackass. And then one part of my mind's like, go to the car, just go to the car.
Yeah.
And the other side of my mind is, what we getting, the crowbar, or we getting the toy? Which one are we getting out of there? Because we gonna mess him up talking to me. He talking to Raymond House or something like that. We got in the car and just drove away.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you got to remove yourself, because I realize
Hey, Mr.
now.
Bill.
Sticks and stone may break my bones, but words
Brent.
never hurt me.
What?
Brent, the real problem, them drinking boys when they were killed, them drinking boys would have been it'd have been a show no fight, wouldn't it?
Oh no, it's just one of those things where there's certain thing. All I want to do is exist in my life without giving problems to others. That's all I want to do at this stage of my life. Is now there's some people that gonna catch it. Like recently, the reason I had to miss last week's show, produced 5,000 pages of documents. Some prominent attorneys in town said we didn't get one. And now they're accusing me of malpractice. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm trying to get their license. There's some people who deserve to smoke, as the kids will say, but as long as you leave me alone, I'm leaving you alone. Because I don't want to be that ass. I don't want to be that. I know too much about narcissism. I know too much about bipolar. All I want to do is hope you well. Leave me alone. I'll be over here doing well. Too many people right now, it's just like going back to someone I think classifies a narcissist, or a governor. I don't understand why he just doesn't want to help people. Now, I understand you could even phrase it right, where we're going to get Jackson going. We're going to show some tough love. We're going to give them 5 years, but we're going to get a plan where they got to start being self-sufficient, something like that. I can see him saying something like that, but do something. At your age, Mr. Bill, what is your philosophy of treating people?
My philosophy.
Why are you laughing, Malcolm? I'm talking about as a man of wisdom.
My philosophy.
I'm not talking about he's about to die.
You called Mr. Bill old, man.
I'm talking about experience. I'm looking for wisdom. You acting like you're going to drop dead today. He got at least a week in him.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr.
Got
Bill.
a week and 2 fights.
Mr. Bill said, I'm going to outsurvive you today. Go ahead, Mr. Bill. What's your philosophy, or how do you get through the day?
Treat people good and treat people the way you want to be treated. But when it comes to what happened to you, I subscribe to Teddy Roosevelt's philosophy: speak softly and carry a big stick. I would have dealt with him, but it wouldn't have been a lick.
Now, let me say this. I did have to, because, what I also see now, Malcolm, is that when you see that behavior, they're not mad at me. I realize there's something else going on, but there was another attorney, I'm just ranting and raving today. he tried to bow up on me, and I came back, and the judge ended up show causing him. And then so one of his co-counsel came up to me and goes, well, he has a special needs son, and he's dealing with some stuff. And I looked down and I said, man, I'm sorry to hear that, but I didn't sign up for me to collect his crap. I'll give you some, if your mom or dad is sick or somebody in your family is going through something, I'll give you some extensions on another case. I never got the full detail, but I think opposing counsel from Nashville, I think his son either OD'd or tried to kill himself. And he was like, man, it's a personal matter. He's in an institution. Do you mind? I was like, man, take as much time as you need. This is a case. This ain't important. Go deal with family obligations. Yeah. So I'll work with you. Yeah. But I ain't signed up for taking your crap either. Malcolm, what's your philosophy as you try to enter public office?
Well, my philosophy is rule number one, to wake up every day, pray, and ask God to give me the strength, and also the knowledge to make it through the day. Treat people like I want to be treated. And there was a time I probably would have said, don't trust nobody. Don't trust no white man. Don't trust nobody. Especially don't trust this person, that person. But you know what I found out, Brent?
What?
Give everybody a chance. Give everybody 100 and let them break it. Walking around not trusting people and not being able to work with people won't get you nowhere. What you got to put it on the table. You cross the line, cross the aisle, and get the job done. So that's what I try to do every day, is work with everyone. And Brent, you know that when I first met you didn't like me and I ain't like you.
Oh, you really always stop that.
And I changed my philosophy.
You know you admired me. You know you probably had a couple pictures of me at home just saying that one day. Anyway.
But look, Brent, I do want to say this.
Go ahead.
I want to say this. Saturday night, I was laying at home in the bed, and I heard something say, boom. And I got a text from a local person on the TV station. They said, Malcolm, one of the largest law firms in downtown just blew up. And
you're talking about the E12
I'm glad it wasn't Richard Schwartz and Associates.
Oh yeah.
Brent, you probably would have been down at the building working that night, knowing you getting ready for some of these briefs on these big cases.
Oh, no, let me say this.
But
I don't work past 6 o'clock. I worked a couple times at 8 o'clock because that's what I used to do when I worked downtown. And when I moved in with Richie, I was working those hours. I hear too many gunshots. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not catching a bullet up here. Yeah. But Malcolm, before we leave, we're running out of time. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. If people want to donate a volunteer to your campaign, how do they do that?
If they want to donate, go to www.malcolmjohnsonforsupervisor.com. You can go on and they give you all of the instructions. It'll tell you what you can do. You can go straight to PayPal. And I want to say this right here too, Brent, before we go. I want to thank so many people for reaching out with the love, for the support. Mr. Bill can tell you he's out here on the campaign too. Dr. Bill is. And so many people's putting their arm around us, and they telling us that they see a growth for change in us. And we worked hard the last few years in Hinds County, and people are saying that they want Malcolm Johnson to be their next supervisor to work to make a difference in the community. And I want to thank those people that's giving us all the encouragement, Brett.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for our show. I hope we had gave you a chance to be entertained. Please remember, if you need some any type of, if you're going to do a podcast or you need some commercials for social media, they're really doing some exciting things at We Believe Studios. I see they actually built a green room since I've been here last. Mm-hmm. So give We Believe Studios. You can email them, you can text them, you can get on their Facebook page, but contact them. You were talking about investing in Jackson, investing in technology. I can only be as great as you are, and then I can only be as great as my neighbor is, because iron sharpens iron. So please remember that. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.